So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Naman, and with me is also my partner, Asad Mirza. So he's also joining me. He's going to be part of this event. And um, I believe that business as usual is dead, and the disruptive forces today require mavericks, pioneers, and innovators. So what we do is we are non-traditional thinkers who galvanizes companies, communities, and people to thrive on disruption. And this is the topic of today, this webinar, that in this wake of disruption, this huge amount of disruption that is going on, what can we do, and how can we proceed, or how can we thrive in this time of disruption? So again, just want to thank you for joining. Your mic is muted, so if you have any questions, please write in the chat box. So if you take a look at the situation right now, in a very short amount of time, everything has changed. There's fear, volatility, uncertainty, huge complexity, and there is a real concern about a severe economic downturn, and in addition to the health. So the health first, and then the health is causing a severe economic downturn. And we're seeing that businesses are being shattered and people are heavily impacted. And this is not only unprecedented in modern history, that we have not ever imagined that this would ever happen. So what do we do here? So as we move forward, let's take a look and look at some of the economic crises in the U.S. history. So let's compare this crisis to the ones that has happened before. And 1 minute. So let's take a look at some of the crises that has happened before. So there was 1929, there was this Great Depression. So if you take a look on the graph, there is this tall dip spike going down close to a 30% GDP drawdown from the peak. Then there was this 1973 oil crisis, and then this 1981 oil crisis, economic recession. And then we can vividly remember this 2008 Great Depression as well. And now we're on this 2020, and according to the McKinsey analysis, we're expecting anywhere from 8% to a 13% GDP, negative GDP in this period. So what do we do in this scenario? With this crisis, and like any other crisis and disruption, a new normal is going to happen. The question is, what will the new normal look like? While no one can see and say how long the crisis will last, what we found on the other side will not look like the normal now. And we know that there will be a drastic restructuring of economic and social order. Again, if we take a look at the history, these were some of the companies who were one of the best companies in our times as well. But somehow, because of the disruption and volatility, they were not able to keep up, and these companies become insignificant. But on the other side, there are companies who thrived in disruption, who thrived in the time of crises. And the only constant in this age of disruption is change. And that's what we need to remember. That's the only constant. Let's take a look at what is winning looks like in the age of disruption. Let's understand this together. So I have a few companies here which we have seen huge, significant growth and success in our lifetime. There's Microsoft, founded in 1975. There's Apple, founded in 1976. Then there's Amazon, founded in 1994, and Alphabet, Google, founded in 1998. And there's Berkshire Hathaway. And these are the companies that we have seen they have grown in front of us in the age of disruption through all these crises. But the important point is, what is the common thread in these companies? And that's what we're trying to understand here. At the same time, look at some of the leaders here. There's Mother Teresa, Bill Gates, Abraham Lincoln, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King. And they transformed the age, and they transformed us as in front of our eyes. And we have seen them transforming the society and the things that how we do things. Last year, I was in South Africa, in Johannesburg. So let me share a little story about Nelson Mandela and what is the effect of this leader on us, on the world, and in South Africa. This person, Nelson Mandela, spent 27 years in prison to fight for the equal rights of South Africans. He was imprisoned in a damp cell measuring 8 feet by 7 feet, a very small cell. He was verbally and physically abused and harassed. And he stood up. He stepped up in the time of adversity. And he changed the world and how the things happened in the world, in South Africa, in front of our eyes. One of the legacies of Nelson Mandela, when I talk to the people in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and by the way, I visited his house, a very small house, 2 rooms and a small common area. And this is the house where he lived with his family, and the police, apartheid police, was in front of this house, and they used to fire, they used to throw smoke bombs, but this person, they stood fast. But the legacy he left with us is forgiveness. Okay, so when he came out of the prison, the first thing he did was he said, I forgive everyone. Let's move forward. And this is some of the lessons that we learn, and I learned from him, is the lesson of forgiveness. But among all of these people, there is a common thread. And what is this common thread? Let's understand. They all had a choice. All of these people, they had a choice. They had a choice in the age of disruption. And let me share one of my personal stories about choices. In 2015, I was diagnosed with cancer, and it was a long battle, 1 year of treatment, and I went through all sort of treatments through this time. But I don't want to share that part with you, but I want to share something that came after. As I recovered from the cancer in early 2016, I was offered a position from my company to move to Europe for a few years. So at that time, I had a choice. I had a choice to stay safe in the US with the family, with the doctors, with the things that I'm used to, or go to a foreign country, new area, and a new environment. Um, and I had a choice, and I made a choice to move to Europe for a few years. New country, new healthcare system, no family. But when I look back at that experience, that few years in Europe, few years in Italy, that experience, I'm so happy that I made the right choice. I moved to Europe for a few years, and those few years were the best part of my life. I learned a lot, traveled a lot, made some incredible relationships, and at the same time, not only I learned, but my kids learned as well. And with this, I like to share this poem from Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. And this poem goes like this: two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and I looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Two roads diverged in a wood, and that has made, I took the one less traveled by. I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. This poem I read often, and then it always inspired me to look at the choices that I'm making. So if we look at this picture, what are the thoughts that are coming to your mind? So when I asked a question to my audience, there are a lot of answers I get, but one of the answer I commonly get is there's a man who is mopping the floor. So there's a man who's mopping the floor. But I want to tell you a story behind this picture, that when John F. Kennedy, one of the US presidents, visited NASA, and he saw a janitor, he saw a person mopping the floor. So John F. Kennedy went to this person and he asked this gentleman, "What are you doing?" And this gentleman said, "I'm helping send a man to the moon." And look at the perception, look at the choice that this person is making. He did not responded that I'm mopping the floor, I'm doing a job. He responded with, "I'm helping send a man to the moon." He responded with a purpose. He responded with a calling. And that is the choice that I'm talking about. That is the choice that we can all make. Let's take a look at another picture here. And when we look at this picture, we see a man who's laying bricks. So there was a story where a traveler came upon two people who were working. He asked the first person what he was doing. The man said, "I'm laying bricks." He asked the second person the same question, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm building a cathedral." Look at the difference in the response of these two people. One person said, "I'm laying bricks." The other person said, "I'm building a cathedral." One person has a job and the other person has a calling. He has a purpose. We may be laying bricks every day, but if we can envision the cathedral and move through our day with the intention and passion, we are living our best life. And this is the choice that we can make every single day. Are we building a cathedral, or we are doing our job? laying bricks. This is the choice that we can make every day. So what does winning in the age of disruption look like? It is the view that you adapt for yourself that profoundly affects the way that you lead your life. It is that view, it is that choice, it is that perception that we have for ourselves that affects the way that we lead our life. So moving forward, let's look at a few different choices successful companies and people made. Number one, these people and companies choose why over what. They choose what should we do versus why should we do it. It is the choice of the job, laying bricks, and the calling, why we are doing this. So it is the clarity of why, discipline of how, and consistency of what that wins in the age of disruption. Let me say it again one more time, very profound. It is the clarity of why. Number one, clarity of why is very important because that moves us forward, that takes us in the right direction. The clarity of why, discipline of how, and consistency of what that wins in the age of disruption. Let's look at number two. What are these people who are winning are choosing in the age of disruption? They're choosing growth mindset over fixed mindset. They're choosing growth mindset over fixed mindset. So what is a fixed mindset? Fixed mindset is the mindset where we feel that we have certain amount of intelligence and talent and experience. And what this mindset does is it creates an urgency to prove yourself over and over. So you have to prove yourself with your talent, with your qualities, with your experience, because this is what you feel that you have. So you have to prove. And what is on the other side, the people do or people have? The people with the growth mindset. The growth mindset is based on the belief that your basic qualities are things that can be cultivated through your efforts, strategies, and help from others. Very profound. And this is the difference between the people who are winning and the people who are staying stagnant in the age of disruption. Let's take a look at number three. These people choose faith over fear. These people feed the faith and starve the fear. Let's look at number four. They choose effectiveness over efficiency. What is effectiveness? Effectiveness is doing the right thing. Effectiveness is a leadership principle. Efficiency is doing things right. It is a management principle. So difference between effectiveness and efficiency is like you're going to New York in a Ferrari in a very high speed car, but with a map to Chicago. So you're gonna reach Chicago very fast, but you're not gonna reach New York. And this is what these people are thinking, these companies are thinking, and this is the choice that we have. This is the choice that we have that we can make. We all have a choice. We all have a choice. Should we keep pushing our square balls or choose to find a round ball? We all have a choice. Why we keep pushing the square balls that we in life? Because of fear? Because we don't want to try new things? We're trying to be efficient. And this is a time where we need to pause and reflect. And we need to find this round ball. There's another great story that I read from Portia Nelson. There's a hole in my sidewalk. The romance of self-discovery. Portia Nelson is a songwriter, is an author, is was an artist. So he wrote this very small story, and I read this a part of the story to you right now. But it is very profound. It's about getting stuck in the ways and getting stuck with the square balls versus choosing the round balls. And the story goes like this. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I am in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes me a long time to get out. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk down another street. So think about this story here and the moral story. It's about this pushing these square balls and not choosing these round balls or not finding these round balls. So I want to talk briefly about this power of crisis, because the crisis, when we are in crisis, is an opportunity as well. It is an opportunity as well, because the crisis bumps us from our comfort zone into our creative zone. So let's take a look at the example of this 2008 automotive crisis, and many of us went through this crisis. So I tell you a story about Ford Motor Company. During this time of this crisis, the Ford family and the top leadership, they sat together and they looked at this crisis and the ways to get out of this crisis. And one of the things that they did was that they put the Ford Blue Oval as collateral. So imagine that you are giving up the most important part of your company, the logo, to finance the company, the bailout. And then, so at that time, this feeling or this gambit created a renewed sense of focus and willingness to take risks that allowed the company to break through these decades old barriers and make real changes under the guidance of the new CEO at that time, Alan Mulally. And we know how Ford and many other companies in that crisis, how they performed when they were in that crisis situation. Because when the crisis happened, there is a change in risk reward balance. In a normal time, we are driven by this fear. Okay, I don't lose anything. But in the time of crisis where you're losing everything, the risk reward balance becomes um, in front of taking some risks. There increased focus, and these are the things that happen during these crises. Crises identifies leaders. Crises identifies opportunities. And this is the power of crisis. And we have a choice. We have to make a choice right now that how we're going to use this crisis. Look at the story of Microsoft. Look at the story of, so I here I have charted this graph here where you see this, where Microsoft had this climb, okay, under the leadership of Bill Gates, and we all know the story of Bill Gates. Dropped out of Harvard, take huge risk, made some choices. And Bill Gates' life, if you look at his life and look at the decisions that he has made in life, it's all about effectiveness. It's all about why. It's all about faith. That drives him. And then you see this huge range where Microsoft performed for the next 10, 15 years because they become efficient. They become they were doing a job. They were just trying to sell Windows. They were not listening to their customers until Satya came, and then the trajectory of the company changed under his leadership with the new sense of customer um, awareness, a sense of new products, innovation, and we see that where how Microsoft performed. So with this, we all have a choice. We all have a choice. I want to share this little story with you about the tales of two wolves. It's a Cherokee story, and a story about these two wolves. There's one wolf is evil, then the other wolf is good. So one evening, an elderly Cherokee brave told his grandson about the battle that goes on inside people. He said, "My son, the battle is between two wolves inside all of us. One is evil. It is anger, envy, jealousy, fear, arrogance, resentment, false pride. The other one is good. It is joy. It is faith. It is peace. It is love. It is hope. It is kindness, compassion, empathy." And this grandson paused for a minute, reflected for a minute, and he asked his grandfather, "Which wolves win?" So look at the question of this person. He said, "Which wolves win?" And the old Cherokee simply replied, "The one that you feed." So the one that we feed will win. Are we feeding the faith, or are we feeding the fear? So during this time of disruption, we have a choice. We have a choice to feed our faith and starve our fear. And it's the time to turn lemons into the lemonades. It is the time to discover who we really are. We need to allow adversity Okay, I think we're back. So there is a law of intentionality that the growth does not just happen. We have to make choices. We have to choose wisely that what we will do. So I leave you with a couple of thoughts here. We're coming to an end here. Number one, live in the moment. Enjoy this moment. This moment, make the best use of this moment. So we can do a number of things. Number one, reflect. Take time to reflect. Take time to think about how things are going. Spend some time with the family. Spend some time to learn at this time. Learn about things that we would like to do and prepare for the next normal and experience. The last one is the experience. Experience the thing that you've never done before. Experience those things. And here I just want to quote here from Napoleon Hill. Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal and greater benefit. So think about this, make a choice. And my last slide is, at this time, there are two things we know for sure. Number one is technology is the biggest story in business today. Number two, mindset is the biggest tool in business today. Plain and simple, leverage both. With this, I stop here, and I like to. I hope you're hearing me now, and I like to. I like to take any questions. If you have, please raise your hand. You can write in the text in the chat box if you have any questions. I also would like to ask Asad um, about your perception and how things are changing, and please add some comments as well, Asad.
Yeah, can everybody hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Asad.
Perfect. So, thank you for sharing all of this, Noman. It's just what a perfect timing, right? Where we are, the entire world where we are right now. Just great information and guidance for everybody. The one thing that there are two things that I always think about, not only just in the situation that we're in, but as a whole, how should we live life? So if we think about what Noman just talked us through, it all starts with having a purpose. And winning starts with purpose. So as we start to think about our mindset, especially now, we have this time available to us now, either we like it or not, that's where we are at the moment. Think about what is your purpose, right? What is your purpose in life? What is your purpose in business, in your careers? And then you would start to see that it will start to help you transform. The slide Noman shared a few moments ago, where he talked about going from fear to faith, going from efficiency to effectiveness. It all begins with purpose. So as we have been given this opportunity, we can all sit and just kind of waste time or blame whomever. Instead of doing that, we can take this opportunity to and say, okay, what is our purpose? What is my purpose? And you'll be surprised that how quickly the things that are on the right side, they will start to become clear for you. They will be a lot easier to align with, a lot easier to practice. So if one thing I can leave you is, as you're thinking through what Noman has shared with you, start with purpose. What is your purpose? Personal life, professional life, family life, whatever we have, start with that.